A month or two ago, I was on Facebook, and one of my best friend's mothers posted pictures of a backyard grill out in my hometown of Milwaukee. Through the sunny digital pictures, you could almost hear the soft thump of a beanbag missing the hole and hitting the plywood, and smell the bratwurst and kielbasa sizzling. This was Milwaukee, after all. In fact, the little gathering documented by my friend's mother was called Sausage Fest. Seeing the images of that moderately sized fenced-in yard brought back so many memories for me. In my teenage years, I spent what amounted to like every other Friday night at that post-World War Cape Cod with dormers. I became an honorary family member. The basement was full of guitars and amps and a sprawling drum set. Shag carpeting covered the walls to muffle the noise we created. Sound-absorbing tiles shortened the height of the already low basement ceiling. My best friend, he played piano. His oldest brother played guitar, and his other brother played drums, and I played bass. It was a perfect match. His brothers became my brothers. I got invited to their weddings and befriended their cousins. But my friend's father was hardly ever around. That family moved to the suburbs, and his oldest brother bought the house. After seeing that Facebook post, I spoke with my friend on the phone, and I wanted to reminisce with him about all the memories we had together in that house. I saw the pictures your mom posted. I said, "How was Sausage Fest?" That question took the cover off a dirty pot and opened the door to a very messy room. He told me how the party spiraled him into a deep sadness. It started quite innocently when his mother asked him to play beanbag toss, and he didn't want to play, but his mother goaded him with, "Don't be a party pooper, come on, don't be so sensitive." She wouldn't respect his decision not to play the game. He soon felt abandoned, helpless, confused, and small, and he returned to being a child. What I remembered as a house of peace and loud music, he remembered as a house of anxiety, frustration, unhealthy communication, unease, and stress. You see, his father left the family to move in with another woman in a different state. I remember when my friend found out, he was pulled out of freshman algebra and sent to counseling. But his parents never got a divorce. His father would come back and visit on major holidays and birthdays, and he still provided for the family, but nobody talked about it. It was really bizarre. There was always this unsettled tension in the air. And now here he is, a middle-aged man, raising boys of his own with his partner of over 20 years, yearning to live in a house of peace, but whose floor plans and blueprints are telling him just to ignore, to forget. He told me he didn't want to live in that house anymore. He wanted to live in his present house with his family, but somehow he just couldn't. As I was hearing this all, I was so curious, and I wanted to know if that house looked the same. Was there still that shag carpeting? Was his child piano still there? Were there any renovations over the past 3 decades? But I didn't ask, I just listened. I invite you now just to take a moment to remember your childhood home. Perhaps you moved around a lot. Maybe there were multiple homes. Which one sticks out the most? What kind of home was it? Was it an apartment? Was it a peaceful place? Do you have good memories? Do you have joys and sorrows? The first decade of my life was spent in a 3-bedroom lower in a duplex. The houses were tight together. You could look through our side window into someone else's living room. My family owned 3 houses and 4 units and a garage on 2 small city lots. The kitchen was just a large room with a farm sink, hooks for coats, and under them a line of shoes and boots on rugs. Nothing was built in. There was just a freestanding stove and a freestanding refrigerator. No cabinetry, no counter space. We prepared food on the kitchen table. All the plates and cooking gear were kept in a pantry. One time my sisters got into a fight and threw carrots at each other. One broke the glass in the door. We can move to other houses. We can build our dream homes from the ground up and still never fully leave the houses of our childhood. My childhood home was previously owned by my mother's grandmother, who was from Serbia. She used to live above us before I was born. When I was about 10 years old, the chemical plant across the alley wanted to expand and bought up the rest of the block. My grandfather took pictures of the demolition, bulldozed our house, ripped into rubble, discarded in dumpsters, and seemingly forgotten. And now, according to Google Street View, the lot is just an empty flat of grass and concrete, parking for a nearby apartment building, devoid of any sign of our home. We can never fully tear down the houses of our past. They are always there, buried back in the recesses. They will always remain in us, with us, and be alive in us. Any house can become a home. The whole universe surrounds us in potential. But we grow up in these houses of culture, countries of clutter and clean, lands of loving and loathing. Our young mirror neurons, neuron brains copying everything we see and hear and feel. We all want to live in houses of happiness. To do that, we come to some level of acceptance of our houses of life. We recognize their permanence is a part of us. We can't just move and move on from their structures. Ecology is literally the study of where we live, our houses. Ecology looks at the relationship of all living things as related to that environment we live in. What if we thought thoroughly about the ecology of our dwelling places? We could study the intricacies of connection, where the warmth leaked out, and how our families and relationships and politics were clinged onto and made us into who we are. We are, after all, not separate beings, but intimately interconnected to the abode of our environment. There is an ecology of place, a dwelling, how these surroundings stick with us and never quite actually leave us. These spaces form us as much as we form the spaces. Sure, paint color changes, closets expand, pantries become obsolete. But we all need places to cook in, rooms to eat in, places to sleep in, roofs over us to laugh in. This house of our nation may seem a little run down and in need of repair. Deported people taken away from their families to countries they may have never really known. Authoritarian rule, autocrats and their loyalists spread lies and limit our freedom. Political assassinations. The ecology is one of tension, division, and fear. Peace in our world is isolated, siloed, and not whole. There does not seem to be the commitment to peace there was even 10 years ago. Wars linger and atrocities mount. Right now, France has rallied 140-some nations for a peace plan that recognizes Palestine as a state, but both the U.S. and Israel want nothing to do with it. The houses of America have included big white plantation houses and small earthen shacks for black slaves, and quickly thrown together camps for Japanese Americans during World War II. Settler colonialism and continuous westward expansion left indigenous peoples seeking new homes over and over again. These cannot be fully bulldozed. Shame on the Trump administration for trying to bleach our history. That is unpatriotic. Our houses of the past can't be ignored and moved on if the ecology of it is not fully examined and taken in. These ecosystems of history should never fully leave us if we ever want to live in houses of peace. I told my best friend he could never fully leave that childhood house. Though we may live in new, different houses, you can't escape your past through some back door. But we can do some remodeling. We can do some updates. We can clean up some messes. Renovations can happen as we study our own ecology. We can accept the houses and rebuild with a foundation with strong values. We can take a sledgehammer to some walls, put in a skylight, explore these old houses and be inspired by its woodwork and its walls. Houses take action and responsibility and constant updates. If we want to live in houses of peace, it takes work and action and dedication and vision and sweat. We can fix them up only after we have done the ecological work of examining. We have some choice in the matter. Yet we can't just move to another house. The houses, the homes, the apartments we lived in are always going to be a part of us. But we can keep remodeling, upkeeping, and exploring with new renovations, working with the past to bring us into the presence of peace. All the homes we've ever had or lived in, all the broken glass, all the leaky plumbing, the weathering wind, the holes in the roofs, the parties, the divisive walls, the open doors, the love, the connections, all of it was to get us home here, now. into being in this present house of peace. So may it be, and amen.